You ready?
Well, I would, now I ask you, may I interject with one thing before we start? It's something we do before practicing peoples, and it's simple. I just ask if you would mind joining me in this exercise. We just take a second and I kind of lead through a little minute breath thing just to kind of ground us in this space. Are you okay with that?
I love it. Before recording?
Yeah. I'm gonna before we record, before we or well, we're recording, but I'm going to just center us in this. If it feels like something you want to use, feel free to. But it's sort of a prayer mixed with a breath, mixed with appreciation.
I
Are you
love
okay
it.
with that?
I'm more than okay with that.
All right. In saying that, just let what feels like silence become an ability to appreciate everything that is right now. We start to find our breath. We can close our eyes. We can keep them open. But whatever makes us feel like we're coming to a place of appreciation and balance and wholeness. And the best part about this is understanding that this is where we come from a place of balance, from wholeness, from completeness. We lack nothing. We are fully aware that this is a moment to appreciate. Let anything that feels like vulnerability in this conversation be recognized as my true authenticity. I'm so thankful for this space with Kat as we get to just have a wonderful conversation, really just enjoying a few more wonderful deep breaths. Is one of the biggest things we can appreciate is the breath in our lungs. As we come to just again thank you, Father God, Mother Nature, for being a beautiful part of this life and that we get to experience each and every day if we choose to, and we come back.
Well, that was lovely.
I've realized sometimes we start a little scattered sometimes, and there's a million things going on beforehand, kind of like we just went through a little conversation and things can come to your throat rather than to your belly. And it's great to ground ourselves. I like that.
All right. I think that I'm ready to get started.
Let's do it.
Good morning, CJ Hammond. How are you on this fine Friday?
I could not be any better if you asked me once more. I'm fantastic.
I'm going to include the breathwork prayer meditation that we just completed because I think it's that valuable. And I think that you are so intuitive in knowing exactly what it is that we needed before we started this conversation.
I appreciate you saying that first and foremost. I love to find self before entering into space with others. So it's definitely helpful. And I think it'll illuminate this conversation.
I could not have said that better. And with that said, I want to jump right in. And first of all, if you don't know CJ, the way that I met him was actually through CrossFit, of all places. He was coaching a CrossFit class that I was taking at the time, not knowing that I was a personal trainer myself, and not knowing that we were both in the modeling world. We still are, as well as acting. And on top of that, CJ does a lot of other things. He has his own illuminating podcast. He's a singer. He's a volunteer. He is incredible, and he's a manifester, which I think is the most important. I have a lot of respect for this man, and so I'm hoping that you're able to listen today and gain some of the wisdom.
I thank you for the kind introduction. It's a fun thing to have wonderful words said about you, and I think it's an odd thing because you sort of want to deflect and be like, no, but I appreciate you saying that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And just a little note on that, I love it when people accept my compliments because my compliments are true and genuine. And when you accept it gracefully, I want to give you more.
You're so right. I think I guess to dive into it, that's a piece of growth that I've learned is like stop disallowing things that were meant to build you up. And so I absolutely appreciate your words. And it's funny that we're here now. And I think it's probably what 9 years ago now that we met. So to be here, it's not full circle because it's never complete, but it's really cool to come back and have a conversation after all we've learned.
Yes, and in the same way, it also feels so natural and like I just saw you yesterday. Our conversations are always deep and meaningful. We're here for the big, hard conversations that I think is the meaning of life.
I would have to say that I don't like to swim in the shallow end often. That's kind of the way I put it. You know, there's certainly ways to understand the nuance of meeting new people and things and information that you can share. But I so often find myself on set talking about spirituality or the deeper meaning of even this business, because I think there's undertones of life that bleed through everything that we do and the bigger picture. So I don't often run from the deep conversations. I think that there's something to be highly valued and appreciated.
Absolutely. I think that's why we connected and we've stayed friends over the years. And it's been really lovely and inspiring to watch your transformation and watch you grow because I already thought that you were an excellent human when I first met you. But to watch you manifest, I'm putting words in your mouth right now and correct me if I'm wrong, but the romantic relationship of your dreams?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Come on.
I just became engaged this year to my lovely fiance Paula, and honestly, a lot of self growth. I don't mean I thank myself. I thank myself. If we can understand that there's small self and there's the capital self, and I'm thanking myself for deciding to grow, to allow myself to be able to handle a relationship with a woman that challenges me, that allows me to grow, that allows me to be myself. And there's every relationship has its own nuances, but I certainly think the ways that Paula and me fit are beautiful in their own way. So it's that I appreciate you recognizing the relationship. I'm certainly excited for the next steps in our relationship.
I'm so happy for both of you. I haven't met Paula, but I did meet her through FaceTime, and her energy is so light and so divine and so beautiful. And so I'm really happy for the two of you. And I feel that, and you can elaborate on this if you want to, but I feel like we attract in the people into our lives exactly when we're supposed to, based on where we are in our personal growth journey. 10 years ago, you might not have attracted Paula or a woman like her into your life.
I can absolutely agree with that. I think as a man, I would say that there are levels of growth that would need to be in process in order to find a woman like Paula. And when I say a woman like Paula, a woman that is knows what she wants, but also is driven in her own ways and incomplete in her own ways. And for me, in my relationships, I think Paula brought the most accountability out of me that I've ever had to show up in a relationship with. And I think that is a huge determiner in the success of a relationship is your ability to be accountable. And this is something that me and my good friend Jordan, who I have the podcast, we talk about, but accountability and responsibility. Being able to take into account all that is happening and all that I can take account for, and being responsible to everything that is also going on. And early on in the relationship, Paula was very honest with me, and she said, I don't know where your heart or your head are at. I heard her words right then and there, and we always joke about it. From that moment on, she never had to question. I made sure she knew where my heart and where my head lie when it came to our relationship and the amount of energy that I was willing to put in, which energy, when mixed with alignment, is effortless. Energy mixed with a bit of there's a bit of a grind. The effort feels like it is a grind. And I think every relationship can feel that, but when we are often most at our best, it is even in the moments where there is a effort put in, it's effortless.
I've never heard it said that way before. I'm trying to imagine it actually, because I always tell people that relationships worth having require work. Now, that's different from how it may feel through that work. You used the words grind, and then you use the word effortless, which for me feels light. It feels easy. It doesn't have any kind of negative connotation whatsoever, and it doesn't sap energy from you. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Absolutely, because I think it matches with something that we know we have a very strong knowing of. And you'll notice I work to bring the most accurate words to my speech, but or and the thing that I'm thinking of is our bodies. Like, you very much appreciate a great workout. And there's something to the best workouts that you might feel like you're about to pass out, or I have not another step in me. And yet you do that. It's because you're in alignment with your strongest values and your strongest character attributes. I don't quit. I it's just not something that I align with. My strongest alignments come from inspiration, from knowing that it's something that speaks to me. And when I'm in alignment, which often that's the place I want to be in, anything that I've ever had in my life that I was in alignment with, even in the midst of what some might consider, yes, there's work, but do we have to call it hard work? It can feel the best workouts I've had can, for some reason, I keep taking a step and there's a bit of a struggle, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but you just know you're going to take the next step. And that's because I'm in alignment with, I said I was going to do this and I said I was going to finish this. And that is something in my character. That is something in the values that I share with Paula, that we said we're going to start this and we're going to finish this. And we could look at that with a lot of angst, perhaps. But again, when you're in alignment, those things feel effortless. You don't need effort when you're in alignment because it's something that naturally in alignment comes with it. I don't know if I'm doing a great job of explaining that, but it just comes with the words. In alignment, everything is effortless. There's no struggle.
Yes. So, are you saying that maybe in the initial stages of your relationship with Paula, you may have felt more of that struggle and it may have been more energy taxing when you were in alignment, when you got in alignment with each other and knowing what it is that you wanted for your relationship and what you were willing to stand for. Then, no matter what you were faced with, it just felt more at ease or less of a struggle. It felt like, okay, it's a challenge, but we got this. We can do this. It's not going to sap me.
It's, yes, that's a very accurate way of trying to break down my word salad. It's exactly what it is. It's sort of working from the end back. If she be my wife and we're going to argue for 3 hours over how one of us thought one of us was going to cook something for dinner and that wasn't what was, it seems a little fruitless to go that deep into the weeds if we know at the end of the day, like, this is the woman that I've chosen to build a or grow a life with. Not build, I mean, there's, because again, building is something that comes from the material and growing is something that comes from the mother earth, like something that's natural. And so, to grow a love, to grow a family, to grow a house seems far more natural to me than building. And I think that resistance you talk about comes from wanting to build things, needing exterior material bits to make something that is so beautiful, that comes from source, that comes from light, that comes from love. It doesn't require that. There's no requirement other than those two people in the relationship, and we just bloom like nature does.
Really love the way that you said that. And I never thought of it that way because what I'm hearing is instead of looking for looking externally, everything that you need in order to grow rather than build this relationship is within you and your partner.
That is probably the theme of life that I have been in this wonderful place of knowing, just like nature, it's never done. Even in death, there is rebirth. And to know something, if I was to know, we just had this conversation. If I was to know Paula, there is no growth from there. There is no more understanding because I know her. I would rather have a sense of knowing. I I have a knowing of my partner. I have a knowing of this relationship, meaning there's an understanding, but there's room for more. There's more for us to build upon. And a lot of that comes from the allowance. There's a saying that I've become fond of: to become is to allow. To become is to allow. And if, you talk about manifesting, if I was to manifest this relationship and, if I want this to become love, I have to allow love. And that's on multiple levels. I have to allow love for myself to reign as naturally and as abundantly as I would the love for Paula. Because the thing that we just spoke about, if I don't have love for self, I can't have love for others. It's conditional, it's not authentic, it's based upon some other fact other than the natural source. And again, the alignment that I've worked to have is something that has started from inside, because meditation really led me to this understanding that it is so pointless to try to change the world when the thing that is the operating avatar of this world is self. I cannot change anything other than myself. And I'm not really looking to change myself other than like, I would never want anybody to change. I would want them to just continue to grow into something more, something better. And that's the thing I've appreciated about myself. I'm not trying to change myself. I'm trying to work with myself to create a more loving life for myself. And in turn, I believe that my reality that comes outside of me would look the same or would look closer to that. Not saying that there aren't days where reality gives me challenges to test me, but to know that if I'm working within myself, I can work without myself in a much greater capacity.
I love all of that. I had about 18 thoughts while you were speaking because I was like, gold, 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 diamonds, diamonds, diamonds. It's so good. DJ, just stop. It's so good. Let me just see if I can remember it all. One
No,
thing.
the thing when I'm in alignment, I tend to go and then I release and then it's done. But feel free to visit any points at any time with me because I would love to go back to them.
You were in flow, and I am never going to interrupt that because I think that's when we are the most present. One thing that did come to mind that I can remember is when you gave the example of like not knowing how something was going to be cooked, and instead of maybe squabbling over that or making it a bigger deal than it needs to be, you just realize, well, wait a minute, like, don't sweat the small stuff. You could say it another way. Choose your battles. Another way. Like, this is so small compared to what our big picture plan is. And I think that one issue that I see with couples all the time is they can get really stuck on the minutia of life. They can get really stuck on like you washed the dishes wrong, or you didn't pick up your sock, or you left the toilet seat up. And these are like really, really seemingly small things that I think have a base that is rooted in something much bigger. What do you think of that?
I think it's something that you're speaking to is preferences. Every human has preferences, and those preferences oftentimes can lead to so many rubs. I prefer it this way, they prefer it that way. And a life of preferences, it's certainly nothing to hate. And I think there's a way to make sure that your preferences, because oftentimes those preferences lead to expectations. And when our expectations aren't met, they can lead to snowballing effects of feeling unloved, unworthy, unheard, unseen. And it's really not the truth of the matter. I think the truth of the matter is that we want the day to go our way, and that's a very selfish way. Like it's a very self-centered way to look at things. And although we are our own universe, we are not the universe. And to think that my preference of things versus Paula's supersedes hers or reigns in superiority would not really be cohesive to what my full beliefs are. So preferences can really lead to the unwinding of a day fast. I would prefer that there's no traffic today. Well, there's traffic. So, and you are a part of it. You are not the only person in this traffic. So would you like to have this ruin your day, or would you like to be a part of it and just enjoy what it is to be on this lazy river? That's kind of how I look at like what you talked about. I think I hear preferences in that and how they can disrupt your harmony.
Yes. And, I don't know how people deal with it sometimes. And I'm wondering how you deal with it. Let's say, for example, your partner does something that just kind of like rubs you the wrong way, and it's based on one of your preferences. Do you find something internally where you're like, okay, we have bigger goals than this. This is small. This is mine. This is my issue that I need to deal with. Or does this merit a conversation with your partner where you're like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I would prefer this. And do you find a creative way to talk like that? What do you do?
I would be interested to see what Paula says as well in this. But I think what I would say is that I tend to go more responsive than reactive. If I become reactive, I find that the conversations where I'm rubbed don't end as well. Like, let's make something very clear at this point. There is no perfect relationship, and Everybody has their squabbles, their things, their differences. So we definitely work through ours, and there's days that are great and there are days that, we find it to be that it feels more effortful than effortless because we're misaligned. But I had a conversation with a person at the airport recently during a layover, and it kind of works with this. It was an analogy I was telling her. It's that oftentimes the reactive versus the responsive route is ping pong versus a game of catch. Reactive is, just think about ping pong. It's a game of reaction. They hit it there, I hit it back. They hit it there, I hit it back. And it's a quick game. It's very quick. If you're playing a game of catch with a baseball mitt and a ball, I have to catch the ball, I have to receive it, I have to grab it, and I have to throw it back to you. And that communication tactic versus just boom, boom, boom in a matter of difference is probably an easier way to come to an understanding than the reactive state. And one thing that was also said that she brought up, the person at the airport, was that I love your analogy. And did you also think of this? She said, did you ever think that in a game of catch, sometimes someone can't throw as far as you, or you might throw it over here, but they're to the left of that by 50 feet. So there are important factors like how far can one throw it and catch and receive? And are you in the right place to receive whatever's being thrown as well? Those things matter greatly in a conversation. Like if you think about a conversation with your partner, say you're coming in from, the grocery store, and the parking spot that they said they were going to leave open for you has now been taken by them, and they forgot to move their car, and you've got a handful of groceries. Perhaps I'm speaking from experience because I've accidentally done this to Paula. I don't know. But, if they're coming in hot and heavy and you're watching your favorite show on Netflix and you're not thinking anything of it, the conversation is going to get hot and heavy fast because they're like ready to charge and you're not even thinking two things of it. Well, again, I think for me to come into the position of accountability versus reactivity is the first thing that would be helpful, as opposed to being like, well, why didn't you call me or something? Well, because you said it would be done, CJ. And that's something where, again, in terms of accountability, I need to match the moment. I need to get in a place to receive this. And maybe I'm not there, like, honestly. And so then I become reactive, and now we're back and forth. And now I want to put my stake in the ground and I'm saying, well, you're not going to like do this to me. And the other person's like, well, you're not going to do this to me. So it's highly nuanced. But again, I would encourage others to also maybe think of that analogy with their partner as a game of catch versus a game of ping pong. If you're having a great time by the fire, be in ping pong, back and forth, laughing, lovey-dovey. There's nothing better. But when there are times to hold space for your partner, think of it as a game of catch.
I love that analogy so much, and I'm a very visual person. So I imagined the back and forth and the quips and, the playful jibes. And you're right, it can be very fun as long as we're keeping it light, right? But the heavy stuff you might play catch with. And the thing I was thinking of is when I receive that ball, how long am I going to hold on to that ball before I throw it back? Because sometimes I really need to hold on to that ball and I need to look at it from like a couple of different angles because I'm not seeing it the way that they see it. So I need to really hold on to it, maybe for 10 minutes, maybe for an hour. Maybe I need to go outside and walk for a mile and then come back. And then maybe I'm ready to just kind of like gently underhand toss that ball back.
That's a fantastic point. Sometimes to throw a baseball, I guess the analogy, there's seams on a baseball. And if you want the ball to do different things, you hold by different seams and put curve on it or fling it off your fingers differently. And you're so right. Sometimes someone does the thing with the ball that you weren't expecting, and even if you're in the right place, it ends up in a different spot. And when you talked about that, perhaps they do throw a curveball to you, so it just dropped on you. You look at that ball, you examine, well, how did they do that? Or why did they do that? Or whatever it is, but you can examine that thing. And, I don't know when the game of catch ends or who it ends with, but I don't think it matters as long as you both had not a good time, but a time where you both felt like, okay, I'm good. I'm
Yes.
good and you're good. Like we had a game of catch and that was fun.
Yes. Yes, when both people feel like there's some sort of resolution.
Resolve is best to me where if thought about in the instrumental way, it's like where there's harmony, where things resolve is where the note sounds the sweetest. And, I think that many times in our day, that's why for us, we begin our day with prayer and we end our day with prayer. And for me, it's not really steeped in religion. It's steeped in pure sense of source of where God has no religion attached to it. And there is no distinction of one from the other. And it's a sense of wholeness. And it's kind of the place we were with our breath, where you just are in a sense of this. And so much of prayer and meditation and welcoming in good news to our life is, that manifesting, that's where it happens. And you can manifest a resolve to a conversation, in my belief, if you say that, and we are at peace. I am at peace. If you understand that, again, it's seeing it from the end. We're at peace. So we're good. That's where we're going to end. We're good. We're good, babe. So yeah, I, I love how you talked about taking it, looking at it, holding it, seeing it for what you see it as, and then deciding how you want to return.
Yeah. I was thinking of something that you posted on Instagram yesterday about abundance and rethinking the way that we think about abundance. I think all of these things are connected, but instead of thinking that abundance is outside of us and it's something that we want to obtain or we want more of, you were talking about coming from a place where abundance already is, it already exists. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. What you're speaking of was something I listen to a lot of Neville Goddard. Everybody has favorite authors, and I've gone through mine, but I listen to Neville on the daily. I have his book, and there's something that feels good to me about listening to Neville. It's the fact that Neville speaks in sort of allegory when he refers to the Bible a lot, and that used to turn me off because I drifted away from religion in the way that some may perceive it these days, because it felt too secular to one specific thing, and there was too much wagging of the finger in my assertion. When I lost religion and I found God is when I started to appreciate more of what God was in my life, not attaching to he, she, but this energy, this thing that can't be understood, only felt. And when Neville started to talk about thinking, he said thinking from abundance. Don't think of abundance. Think from wealth. Don't think of wealth. Because if you're thinking of wealth, that's literally, if you think of wealth, you're seeing it as the thing in front of you. If I'm thinking from wealth, it's inside of me. It's not detached from me. And so often in my life, when things are best, I wasn't understanding that it was coming from me. Like my confidence was coming from me. It's like of me. It wasn't something in front of me. I wasn't mirroring myself. That's impossible to do. To live yourself from inside out is the only way to possibly give your authentic nature. You cannot let the world dictate what it is that you are and then like become that. Otherwise, you're living a less than life. And so when Neville said, think from rather than of, it stopped me in my tracks, because I've realized so often, even when I was in a manifestation mode, wanting more from life, the mere existence that I was wanting more was reaffirming the state that I was lacking. To want things is to know that you also lack them. And to come from the place is to say, I am with that. I am with my career. The relationship that I enjoy is coming from me. Therefore, I don't need exterior things to grow this relationship or to build it up. I don't need things to build myself. Every possible instrument of my growth already exists in me. And thinking that, again, that's why the world of self-help is I appreciate it, but it's become something where I feel like if I drink the green juice, if I do go to the breathing retreat, if I do these things, those are all things that are absolutely wonderful. But if you take them as the thing that's going to be the thing that is your growth, then you're not I don't want to be assertive, but there might not be the growth that you're looking for that actually is internal. you go, like, people go on vacation. I just need to get away. I just need to get away. I need some time for myself. If I go to vacation and I brought my troubles with me, then was I on vacation? If I was still thinking of my troubles and my worries and my all the things that were leading to me feeling so unhappy, did I really get a vacation, or was I just in another place with my troubles? And I would love to be on vacation in my spirit, in my oneness with myself, with God, with goodness, with the appreciation of abundance, that I was able to be in this place versus, this. It's so cool to see this view. What's Instagram saying? What's my text saying? My God, this is so bad. This is so bad. And that's where I think of when I think of coming from rather than of. I think if my happiness is coming from me, if my peace more so is coming from me, then I'm in a beautiful place. If I'm thinking that pieces of a book, pieces of even a podcast, if you were to take this podcast and need it to be the thing that made you different, rather than take these words and let them start to live from you, that's perhaps a grander place to be.
I love that. It almost sounds like you're saying, listen, the green juice and the breathwork workshops and the vacation, we'll just use the example of Hawaii because I was there recently. All of these things are very valuable, and maybe they're the things that can help unlock what is already within you. Maybe they can help shift your mindset and get you to that place that you've been wanting to go. But the place has always been within you. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter who you're with. It doesn't matter if you have money or not, or any other circumstance. You have control over that. And sometimes there are these lovely practices or green juices or whatever it is that can help us get there.
That's spot on. And again, if there was something, when I thought about this, it actually is a great thing to show how off the mark I was. When I started meditating, I was led to the practice by my great friend Jordan, who I do the Practicing People's podcast with. And he invited me to it. Do you want to, how about you try meditation? And just like so many people I have a conversation with, oh yeah. I've tried it. I've tried to sit with myself. I've tried that. And then I did it with him, and we started waking up every morning. It was like 7 his time, 6 my time. We'd just sit. He'd run the Headspace app. We'd sit together, and then we'd download with each other after that, and we'd just talk. And it was beautiful. That is the same time that I met Paula. So there was a certain allowance in my life that came with that, when it was beautiful. But there were also times when I used it in a place of superiority. So think about this with your green juices, with your breath, with your mindfulness practices. It was like if Paula and I were in an argument, well, you need to go meditate. You need to go do this. You need to go do that. And then I talked to Jordan about my relationship problems, and he's like, well, how are you showing up? I'm like, yeah, but it's not about me. It's about that. That's has nothing to do quite literally with you. What are your responses? How are you reacting to things? And me taking this self-superiority assertion that she needed to go meditate as if I had found the secret sauce, not realizing in me saying that that's quite literally the opposite of the intention of meditation. And when I think about that, when it comes to the green juices, the yoga, the practices, if the practices are for show but not to grow, then what is the point? We're doing it to self-satisfy check boxes and to show the world versus show ourselves something that can be illuminated. And that was a big aha moment for me.
That's huge. I love that. In continuing our conversation about abundance, I'm going to share this board that I have, and I always change the message on it whenever I feel like I want to. And this is the one I have right now. I was looking at this, and it's been up for about a week. And I'm wondering if we should change it to something like big opportunities are here.
Literally, that's what I was going to say. Because we're kindred spirits in the sense that we have this gusto for life. We love people. We love experiences. We love the most. So to want to seek more, it's a beautiful thing to appreciate. But if we unwrap a little bit of it and start to uncover things, like you said, you looked at that, and the words are affirming absolutely what your truth is. That big things are coming, and they're not here, and they're not here. And again, this is not to not appreciate every day. I know you make a miracle out of every day. But the big thing, we don't even know what the big thing is, but it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's here today. And every day that I choose to believe that the big thing is here, that the miracles are here. Like for me, one of the sayings is that, you know, man makes magic and God makes miracles. And every day I tell Paula that my prayer is that we continue to have opened eyes to miracles, the miracles of the day. I can make magic any day I want. I can pull a rabbit out of my hat any day I want. But the miracles, the ones that you go, how did the thing that was wrong turn out to be the right thing? How did the thing that I was pushing so hard against become the thing that pushed me? How did the thing that was working against me work for me? And the miracles, I see miracles every day. There's there's nothing you could tell me that would remove me from that thought, because to go out in nature, you'll see that delivered to you right away. And then let that well of goodness bleed into everything in your life. Those big opportunities that were coming are now here. And they are
Yes.
here, and they are here, and they are here. And to then not trust the experience, to not sit in faith and go, well, where are they? That's the longer the duration of the looking for you, rather than just letting it come to you. They will certainly be wanting to show right around the corner, but be like, she doesn't trust that we're coming. The opportunity, she wants it here, but I just want her to like appreciate it for everything that it's valued at. Like I know she values me. It's here. I'm at your doorstep. I've opened it now. If I told you I was coming to your doorstep, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming here, I'm coming to your doorstep. Would you rather the day that I arrive be the day that I'm here, or the day that I continue to say that I'm coming to your doorstep? I'm here. Please open up. Now the becoming of that opportunity is the allowance. Allow me in, and let me bleed through your life and enjoy this moment. Don't make more of it. Just enjoy what it is.
Oh my God, I love that example. Again, I'm a visual person. I'm imagining looking at my text messages and waiting for CJ to come over. I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. And I'm just like, it's like anxiety inside of me. I'm just like, I'm impatient and I just cannot wait for this to happen. And I would rather just believe, okay, he's here. He's already here. You're good. You're solid. And for the folks, I apologize because there are people who are going to just be listening and they don't have a visual. The board that I showed to CJ says big opportunities are coming. And so we've already agreed that I'm going to change it today, right after this, to big opportunities are here. And the other part of that is I'm allowing them in. I really need to allow this in. I need to be okay with saying, like, I deserve good things. I deserve abundance. I am abundance. Sometimes, even if you have been practicing for years and you think you know your stuff, you can get into ruts. You know, life to me is not a continuous upward journey where you're constantly climbing that mountain. I think that it goes up and down and up and down and really low sometimes. And those are the opportunities for the greatest growth.
Why we think life is linear is confusing to me. It's because it's the story we're told, the American dream, the person that reached their goal after going and doing this and doing that. We very seldom do we check up on them once they've reached the mountaintop. I mean, I can't tell you how many actors in LA have reached the mountaintop and then you hear of the descent, or like there was something that happened thereafter. Perhaps because they put all their pennies or all their wishes in that basket and they received that and they thought that was the end. No more growth, no more anything to do. And for me, like we said, there's a knowing that this life will always give me more to know. There's an understanding now, and I say these things in a professive state, but with full awareness that I don't know everything. And just because today is as outstanding as ever, it doesn't mean that tomorrow couldn't look different. Different doesn't mean better or worse, but different. I have to allow different to also be something into my life. And once again, to your point, to become, I must allow. To become the best version of myself, I must allow the best version of myself. I must allow someone to give me compliments. I must allow for myself to feel worthy. I must allow for myself to believe that the deserving nature of life is within me. And it scared me for a lot of time. Allowing it scared me, allowing love into my life, a love that sees me cry, sees me at my happiest, sees me at my silliest. And that's both in self and in Paula. The love that I feel for myself, I had to allow in to be okay being myself around someone that I love, to be let her see me at my fullest. And that's why when we use this word vulnerability so often, and to me, it comes with shades of scary. Take your vulnerability and exchange it for your authenticity. Take your vulnerability and understand that it's you at your rawest, most authentic point. And yes, I can understand where you get the vulnerability from, but the places and the spaces that I'm supposed to be in will receive that with the authentic nature that I have. If I was not supposed to be there, or if it is not for me, they can take my quote unquote vulnerability and use it against me or some sort of connotation. But every place that I enter, I feel that I am welcomed with love and I allow that. If something therefore happens after, so be it. But I would never, or not never, I love the most authentic parts of myself showing up into every experience in life that I get.
I love that too. I was talking about the word vulnerability last night because in the context that not everybody deserves your vulnerability. I think that you have to protect it. I think that vulnerability is a very beautiful trait, but it's also something that deserves to be protected. And I like that you are expanding on this concept of and taking it to the level of being your most authentic self, truly being yourself. And that doesn't include like people pleasing. It's just speaking your truth, if you will. You know, I want to switch gears for a second because we've talked about a lot of good topics. We started off with love and we've been talking about abundance and manifesting. And I want to talk about something similar. I want to talk about the concept of gratitude because I've noticed something very interesting since we're both in the world of acting and modeling and booking jobs. You know, I think that we're both very talented people, and there are a lot of very talented and skilled people out there who do their work. And I think there's something more to why people don't book. And here's my theory. When I'm on a roll, I have an energy that's different from maybe other times in my life, like a domino effect. And it only compounds with each booking. I'm first very grateful and very excited, and I just have this jubilant energy, and I radiate better and I radiate more. And I think that energy becomes infectious. And then people want a piece of that, and I'm just so excited and willing and wanting to go there. And so then it's like booking, booking, booking. And then after maybe the third or fourth booking, something happens where I'm just like, I kind of expect it. I'm kind of feeling myself a little bit. And I think the gratitude starts to diminish a little bit. I start to take for granted what I had going. And I'm still trying to figure out how do the top performers, the top bookers, these people who just continue to excel in their career, is it all, does gratitude have anything to do with it?
Hearing you say that, I mean, it seems like similar experiences. I very much hear what you're saying when it's like, when I'm on a roll, I cannot be stopped. My energy's never higher. And there's almost this like, it used to be for me that like, when are the wheels about to fall off? Because I'm just going too fast. This is too good. Like it can't be this good. Lo and behold, it will show you that what you thought to be true, that the wheels were going to come off because you thought that. Let me confirm your reality, CJ. Let me confirm your reality. And that is, to your point, why placing our gratitude and appreciation in it's not that it's contingent upon, but we feel as our natural state. I think that if you saw gratitude and appreciation as energy versus the word that they sit in a higher energetic place. That's where you sit most often, most likely. Most likely in your day, I know that Kat's going to be in a very high energetic place because she's in appreciation, she's in gratitude. And then things match and meet and magnetize towards where you're at. And we stay that way, and then we stay that way. And again, things that are taken for granted quickly get replaced with this mundane sense of this is how it should be. And it doesn't matter whether it's your relationship with work or your relationship with your partner or your relationship with your fitness. Because if you were to be in gratitude of a certain aesthetic you were trying to achieve with your physique, and then you said, I could eat anything I want, I can do anything I want, the energy no longer matches the discipline that it took to get there. And the discipline of gratitude and appreciation it's weird to call them disciplines. Maybe practices are more like it. But if you focus your practice on something small, like my big thing, the micro affects the macro. And it seems to be that when I start to get on a roll, I only look at the macro. Look how dope this is. I have so many things going for me. You're looking at the big picture, CJ. Now you're stopped looking at the small things to appreciate. The fact that you even got to audition for something. I got so many auditions to do and I've got to book this. And then how am I going to put this audition in when I got to do this? Now you're starting to get away from when you were at your lowest career wise, when you could have cried over auditions because you couldn't catch a cold of an audition. And now you have more than you can handle. And you want to go, oh, I know I was back then, but how about you sit in the place of appreciation and gratitude, breathe with it, sit with it, realize you're not overwhelmed, you're overstimulated, but life is whelming both over and under. So be whelmed by it, but neither over or under. Just be with it. And, Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, I like listening to her because she talks about the states and the vibrations that exist. And gratitude is amazing, but also be with appreciation. And notice that I exchange but for and because buts stop a situation, ands are a continuation. Be grateful and appreciative.
What's the difference?
The gratitude is for that which has happened, appreciation for that which is. And so I am grateful for the relationship I have with Paula, for everything that we've been through. And I appreciate that which is and that which is to come, everything that's about to unfold or that is unfolding.
I like that a lot. I like that so much. I'm going to cut this part out, but my brain is just like so overwhelmed by all the goodness in this podcast. Like there's so many points, and then I feel like I need to write it down because then I'm trying to stay present with you. And then I just get overwhelmed because I'm trying to hold on to this thought that I want to talk about later, but then I want to be present with you.
No, I'm fully. It's funny because I have these conversations with Paula quite often. Like I speak like this with her, and I love the fact that I get on like a little talking rant, but it's really just I'm in an energetic alignment. I love speaking life into her, into me, into our source, and I'll try to stop myself. And she's like, "Don't edit yourself. Don't stop. Don't." So I appreciate you being with me, and also appreciating things that I've said.
Yes. Okay, I remembered one of them. You shared with me that you and Paula have a practice of prayer first thing in the morning and then in the evening. Is that right?
That is correct.
So I used to be really afraid of the word prayer. And if I'm being completely honest, there's a little part of me that's still just, I tiptoe on that word. I've gotten really comfortable with the word blessings because I feel like there is a religious connotation to both. And there really is. And like you, well, I don't know if you are religious, but for me, I am not. But I would definitely call myself spiritual. I don't claim to know everything. I definitely think that a higher power exists, certainly a universal power that connects all beings, all living beings, human, animal. And I think that has a huge role, if not the role, in why we exist and what we're meant to do. And so there's this interconnectedness, and prayer for me is kind of like a spoken meditation where I literally speak out loud because it feels better to hear the words instead of just say it in my head. If I have that opportunity and I'm in a space where I can do that, where I can talk to the universe and speak what I want or what I'm feeling into existence. Do your prayers change day to day? And what does that look like?
So one thing that you said that I would become aware of is, and again, this is in the spiritual sense for anybody that's listening. God came before religion. And why would I let religion corner the market of prayers and blessings? They are simply terms. And that's the same thing that you're speaking of. Well, it feels like it's like aligned towards that. That connotation is exactly what is the belief that people would want, that somebody has to be religious in order to pray or to deliver or receive blessings. That means you need to attach yourself to a religion or sort. And my alignment, not attachment, my alignment is with God. And I will make sure that my prayers and my blessings come from that source, which is, and to your point, I used to be afraid of those things. I used to be afraid of God because, well, I'm not religious like that. That means you need to call something your home, that you need a place to go to worship, a place that you need to find others. Community is beautiful. I think a church is a beautiful thing with community and finding everybody in the same energy of like, we love. Love is the greatest thing of all. And if I need a church to place myself in love at all times, then maybe I can find something, a greater source. And in my prayers and my blessings, that is where I find my love. And my prayers are different each and every day. Each and every day, there's an awareness to something new, something less or more wonderful than the day before. Somebody is, I feel, could use these words. Somebody is searching for this same sort of love that I'm feeling right now. And so every day, there's always the same summary. There are miracles. There's our health. There's the abundance of wealth, of stability, of gratitude and appreciation, the miracles in each and every day. And actually, let me just really quickly, if I may, there's a something that you just said that was in my notes from last week. Oh, I loved this a lot. In your prayers, speak from fulfillment rather than fear. Oftentimes, when we are in prayer, it seems like we go to God when we are in need. And that is understandable, certainly, because it's, again, we take it for granted, not attaching this to religion, attaching this to source. We take being attached to our feeling our greatest, our highest, our most loving, to just like we get to be that. Sinking into that each and every day and being with that is something that I do not take for granted. And it does not mean that the day does not fill me with moments of angst or questioning, but those moments are find resolve quicker when I return to God, when I return to harmony, when I return to source, when I return to the most loving side of me that isn't speaking my prayers from God, like, please, I just need a miracle. God, you are the miracle. God, I am that I am was said, and I am with you. Like, if Jesus was the Son of God, why, why, why would I be so fearful that I don't have the same love that Jesus Christ had, but also went through the same trials and tribulations? I don't know why I would think myself to be any different. Like I couldn't have a hard day that was brought to me by God. Like, it's okay, CJ.
Yeah. Wow, I like that a lot. I have not gotten comfortable enough to, and I don't know if I ever will. What feels right for me is to call this universal power the universe or great spirit, because I feel like I align better with shamanism and nature and that. So that feels good.
By the way, I might add, I do, in your source, this patriarchal society, God is often referred to as he. And God is a word, God is a feeling, God is a presence. And we just term that. And if you look through history, a patriarchal society was often that which was trying to be considered superior in many cultures. And in my prayers as of recently, I have acknowledged that if there's going to be a Father God, then there must be a Mother Nature. And so I do pray to Father God, but Mother Nature for every gift that you get. Like, I'm looking out my window right now at this beautiful blooming green tree. It's thank you, Mother Nature, every day. Every day. Then that has been added to my prayers to make sure that if there's going to be a yin, then there will be a yang.
I love that so much. And when we first started this conversation and we did the meditation, if you will, that guided meditation, that breath work, you said Father God and Mother Nature, and I smiled because I never heard it put that way, and that speaks to me. Like you, I have trees. I've grown trees inside of my apartment because that's where I can do it. Because of you, I got a hummingbird feeder. And so I bring nature to me in this concrete jungle of LA. And I feel like you do the best that you can. Another thing that came to mind when you were talking about prayers is speaking from love and not fear. I have been recently working with a fear coach, and we just started doing some work together. And one of my tasks this week is to really think about and put into practice what it's like to live and make decisions from a place of love versus a place of fear. When I say that, what comes up for you?
A lot of life, a lot of the heart of life, a lot of the source of life, and how where we find value, how we make our decisions. Because honestly, like a lot of me, not to go too deep into it, but I think that if I even think about something like politics, it's that we're seeing things from two different sides. Like for me, one side is love and one side is fear when it comes to the openness of accepting another human for who they are or what they are. You're fearful of what they are, but you're a loving being. You just don't know what it is. And a lot of our fear is because we don't know what it is. And we need definitions and we need certainty. A lot of life is uncertain. And the openness and the curiosity that the lens of love allows is a far grander place to live life, is to remain open and curious, which is on the side of love. Fear, as I grow older, is left for certain things. Like there's certain things that I would be fearful of. A rattlesnake 35 inches from me is something I could fear if it was ready to present itself as a danger. I would fear that. I might even still be curious and open to being like, wow, how beautiful is it? But I think that that might be a state of fear. But the things that we fear a bad day, we fear what our partner might say, we fear what this job might look like, we fear what our coworkers think or what anybody thinks or what the social media post might do. Look at it through the loving lens with openness and curiosity. And the love or the fear, those two dynamics, that yin and that yang, give more grace to love than you should fear. It seems like oftentimes in my life, I've given more grace to the fear. And I won't let myself feel the best. I won't let myself appreciate the most for fear that this is the only time I'll get to have this. Well, if I was to do anything like that, if I was to hold something this tight and I'm putting my hands to my chest, then it will never leave me. And if you look, you might have just choked it to death
Yeah.
versus giving it a big hug and then open your arms again and saying, what else is there to come to me? What else can I receive in this day? And that openness and curiosity is love.
I love that. So, what you're saying is that there are very appropriate circumstances when is, there are circumstances when fear is appropriate. Like, for example, when your life is in danger. But a lot of times, when that is not the case, people are still choosing fear when they should be coming from a place of love, which includes being curious, just getting curious. And I think that that requires a certain level of open-mindedness. And when you were talking and doing the visual of really like clenching your fists and holding something so tight to your chest, I thought of something I saw as a child where you see the example of the little girl who gets a little chick and she loves it so much. She loves it and she holds it so tightly that she smothers it. And she doesn't even realize that she did that, because the thing that you love the most, you need to hold it lightly and you need to allow it to go and be free. And then it will come back to you.
Man, when we go on our walks, if I see one of my pet peeves is when I see people see a beautiful flower or something and they pick it. One of what I think it was Osho that said the quote, but if you see a beautiful flower, don't pick it, let it bloom. But the human nature, the consumer filled nature that is an American right now, or just a human in general, where so much of it is like, if you see it and you like it, take it, pick it. It's yours. It's yours. It's yours. And if we were to do that, like Paula lets me be me. Like she knows that my greatest happiness, my greatest appreciation, my greatest peace comes from being me, like my solitude and my time with her. She allows me to have both of those things. If she said I couldn't grab my alone time or something, I would slowly start to lose pieces of me that allowed me to be my greatest for her. And, if I hold on to say you book a major campaign next week, this is the best. And then there's a backed up queue of blessings waiting for you, but you have not let those come to you because Kat only wants this thing and this thing only, because it's the greatest thing that she's ever seen. You cannot see the next greatest thing until you release that beautiful thing that you have. And, that's why seeing your partner each and every day, if you saw your partner on the best day and were only to hold them like that and not to appreciate them on their worst day, it's conditional. And this life, if it's based upon conditions and preferences, will always have so many rubs, so many rubs. And I say that to you knowing how many I'm the human experience too, and those days come to me. And if the words that I said can be lived more authentically and truly to me as well, I will experience even more peace in my life.
I love that. And I'm so happy that you have a partner who allows you to be your 100% most authentic self. Because you said something so important, which is that allows you to show up in the best possible way for her and for others. It's not only for yourself. When you get to be 100% CJ, people get to experience the very best of who you are. And I don't think that people realize that when they're in relationship and they are trying to control the other and trying to mold or shape them into ways that they think is best for them, because that doesn't allow the other person to feel free. It makes them constricted, and it makes them smaller, and it makes them resentful rather. And I think this happens a lot in relationships. I know for certain I've been guilty of this in the past. And so I'm talking about this because I know from experience that when you get a partner, when you attract in a partner, when you manifest in a partner who allows you to be yourself, your true self, appreciate that. Be grateful and appreciate that.
I don't know how much time we have, but there was this thing that it beckons to what you're saying. Michael Singer was talking about color. And when nighttime happens, everything is dark because colors really don't exist. It's void of color, but it's dark. When the sun shines, that is when colors illuminate. And that is when you will see the brightest greens, the most beautiful pinks on the flowers, and everything like that. And one of the things that I value is that I show up in the day to be my light for others, myself first, to light up in myself, and then be so luminous that I can start to bring out colors in others. And that's why, when you saw me as a coach, I brought my greatest energy, because there you'd have the people that would walk in and they seem kind of down, or they seem like a little lost, perhaps. And to know that I had the ability to bring out colors in others was and is a beautiful attribute that I enjoy about the alignment that I bring to the that can be brought to the day should I choose it, because I love seeing the colors of people. A world void of colors and grays and blacks and whites, it can be appreciated, but the yellows, the pinks, the bright blues in somebody, I love that. And when I get to see that in Paula, I love it. I love when she had two jokes yesterday that I was like, who's the comedian? And I absolutely adore that when I get to see her colors. There's days where the grays and the blues aren't as blue and everything, but I still love every color. And I hope that my goal is to, with her and every person that I interact with, see their most vibrant colors and let them shine.
Man, this is why we get along so well. I also love helping people realize their potential. And I like giving them the gift of believing in themselves because I truly do believe in them. And that feels like bringing more color into their lives, bringing a little bit more gold, bringing a little bit more glitter and shine. So I love that. I am wondering, with all this good work you've been doing, and you've been doing a lot, what is one of the greatest lessons you've learned recently?
I get emotional. There was a recent family scare. One of my family members went through something, and I have an incredibly amazing family. Like I cannot tell you how amazing my mother and father are, and how much love they have given me, and they have never questioned me, and they have always had my back. And when things happen and there are moments where you see the fragility of life, that appreciation for anyone and everything only grows stronger should you see it from the lens of love. I can't tell you how fearful I was, how many prayers came from a place of fear, like if I ever lost this, or if this, and it was very me, and it was me centric, and it was self-centric prayers. and I understood why. I have the understanding of why, but I also had to get back to love and to understand whatever is will be, and everything worked out well. But I had to see family members in positions that I was not prepared for. And it shook my world up, and it presented me with a fond appreciation that I've always had, but only heightened that much more through the lens of love. I really appreciate my family so much. And that is a lesson. And everybody's family dynamics are far greater, are different. Anybody that has had a family where they did not feel supported or not loved, anybody that made you feel like family and where you were supported and loved, I hope that you have those same type of connections. Community has always been really important to me. That's why South LA is important to me. That's why the Sister Angel Foundation is important to me, because those people do a great job of understanding why community matters. And my community, my tribe that I first came from, my family, has always and forever had my back and supported me in everything that I do and allowed me to be the person that I am. My father's, not taking any shit from anybody, being a black man that had to go through racism, and still to this day, my mother working at Denver Health Medical Center for 40 years and teaching me empathy and compassion and understanding and grace, and that beautiful meld that they have given me. I appreciate that so much. So to answer, it's the lesson of how important the family and the upbringing they gave me was, because I know not everybody has that same fortune. And so I feel like a lotto winner when I talk about that.
And I know that to be true because you've talked about your family. When we do see each other, you always say such positive things. I know your sister a little bit, and
Amazing.
she's a shining star. She's just joy. She's so sweet. And you always post so much love about your mom and dad all over social media. And we had very different upbringings, you and I, and you were blessed for sure, but they are also very blessed to have you. A couple other beautiful things is you're grateful, you're appreciative, and if you don't have that same family dynamic, you can also make your own family from people who are not your blood relatives, which I have done. I love some of my blood relatives. I mean, I guess that's for later. I have some friends that I consider my family. And it is so important. Community is so important. Having a tribe and having support and having people, it is so important. Let me ask you this. What is something you are currently working on that you haven't quite achieved yet?
Something that I am working on, always working on finding processes that allow me to continue to myself even more than I already do, without placing a push or pull on it, letting it be like the waves and come in and out, and understanding that just because you live your life in a value driven way, it doesn't mean that it's always going to go quote unquote your way, your preferential way. It's sort of like what religion teaches you, that if you are good, therefore this happens. And life would lead you to understand that that is not accurate at all. Life can seem cruel, life can seem unfair, and that's all the way you deem to see it. And again, if you look at it through openness and curiosity, and like we said before, if I choose to remain open and less resistant to what life is, not what it could be or what it should be or what it would be, and just what it is, then I can find myself in a place of peace more, maybe not rapidly, because it's not about how fast I find it, but more assuredly.
Are you saying that you're trying to let go of expectations of life?
Yeah, I would think that's a great way to put it. I think that my expectations of life, because I think that my expectation was quote unquote that I was going to be in a big house in the hills by now, and, have certain financial attainments. And I can't tell you how happy I am where I am right now with the family that I have and the family that we're growing, and letting it be what it is and not need to be more. And the needing it to be more is what I guess I'm working on, but I'm also coming to agreement with allowance of letting life just be. if it was my world, the hate that I see, the wars and all that, I live in a very utopian filled world. And so it's like, we don't need this. We don't need this anger. You don't need this. You don't need that. And letting go of those things is something I'm continuing to work on, and just being the light that I choose to show up as in the world each day.
Does letting go of some of those hard things that we see on the news and in the world, does that mean not reading the news as much, not engaging in social media? What does it mean?
I think for me at this point, navigating the push pull of that. I certainly follow the news because, especially here in America, there is so much that happens where people that are disenfranchised and that are forgotten or othered are being taken advantage of, being made to feel inferior, being made to feel less than. And I one thing I've never stood for, even since I was in elementary school, is a bully. And I have no problem speaking my truth, whether it's on a school shooting that just happened in Minneapolis and being frustrated with that, or ICE raids happening where hardworking people are being made to feel like they are illegal, or race issues. I will never, and this is my father and mother in me. They go to protest every chance they get. I will never back down from that. Like, that is a thing. So being with the news and letting it come from me, my decisions rather than of me, I won't let the world change me. It won't make me less loving, and consuming in ways where I go, because you can go down a rabbit hole on social media, certainly, but like
Hmm.
understanding, okay, I've gotten my fix for the day and the things that I can take in. My cup is full here and it's about to overflow and make me rattled. And there might be one image you see in the day that'll rattle you, and that might be enough for me in that day. But I certainly try to stay up to date and in tune with myself at the same time. And I understand that there are many people that say, I don't watch the news, I don't take in the news. I understand that. And at this point, I also understand that to say that is a high privilege. That is a privilege to not understand what's going on in the world. And that privilege I don't afford myself without understanding that I also have a price to pay. If I be so privileged as to understand that and not be affected by it, then I would like to have a voice for those who want to have a voice, but for fear of retribution or something like that, may remain quiet. And again, one voice is one voice. And does it change the world? Maybe not. But for the world that I have and the people that I choose to interact with, I hope that my words carry some weight.
Well, that's extremely powerful. And you've got me thinking too, because I've always seen you to be a very active speaker in your values and what you stand for. And I admire that. I admire that so much. I wonder, is there any, if you could give just one message, one big takeaway from our conversation today that you would like our audience to consider, what would it be?
Maybe twofold. I think that no more beating up yourself, no more not appreciating what the gift is that you are. Let me affirm the positive rather than the negative. More appreciating of who you are, more loving, more understanding of who you're growing into, more understanding that you're growing, more knowing that you only know what you know today and there's more to know tomorrow. That you're open, that you're curious to things that might make you feel, I don't understand that. Get to know it, and leaning into community, whether it be an online forum, a place like a coffee shop. We have a coffee shop down the street where we love to go and talk to our people. Like, I can't tell you what it means we walk quite often through our neighborhoods, and I can't tell you what it means to say hello to your neighbors. Los Angeles specifically is a place where, because it's so transient with business and stuff, people just tend to stick to themselves, and I get why. But I would suggest leaning into your solitude and your places of peace, and then going into community and showing people what that peace has allowed you to bring to the table. What have you brought to this cookout? I hope that everybody goes to their kitchen of life and works on the best meal that they can for themselves each and every day, and then goes and shares it with as many people in their community as they can in this like lovely God-given cookout that we get to experience each and every day. And I have never said that before. It sounds so weird, but I do appreciate what I just said.
Amen. I love that. Again, a visual person. So I see all of that and I understand the analogy. It was beautiful. CJ, can you just kind of give the audience some ways to reach you if they want to connect with you, if they want to hear your podcast. Can you give us a little bit of information?
Yeah, social media, it's just C period J period Hammond on Instagram. I don't frequent things like TikTok or like the Twitter or the Substack, but a lot of where I spend my time these days in terms of if I'm going to voice an opinion is on Instagram. So feel free to reach out to me on there. And then the podcast that me and Jordan have, or Jordan and I have worked to collaborate on is the Practicing People's Podcast. And we are working on the second season right now. And I'm extremely appreciative of that space, just like the conversations we get to have here. It's another wonderful way. And I've got new music coming out soon. So please, the messages and the vibrations are all very aligned with a lot of the conversations we had today. So please be on the lookout for that in the near future.
Great. And I will link all of those ways to this episode. So it'll be very easy for people to find you. Before we close out today, I have a request. I'm wondering if we could come full circle and we could close today with some sort of beautiful, intentional mantra, meditation, breath work, prayer that you lead.
Absolutely. I invite the listeners to close their eyes unless they're driving and be with these words. I'm going to lean on something that I have just referred to. I want everybody to close their eyes and place themselves in their kitchen, and you're working on the most fantastic meal that you've ever worked on. And that pot is the pot of love. That is your meal that you're about to bring to a wonderful cookout. And you're going through all the ingredients of self love, self worth, self value, appreciation, friendships, relationships, a career. And you're adding in all the best ingredients in this big pot. And you're just stirring them up and watching them all blend seamlessly, enjoying every ingredient that you're adding, watching it only add to the flavor. Let that cook for just a second as you sit there and start to bring a smile to your face because you can appreciate how good this meal is that you're going to get to show everybody. And your show comes from authenticity. It doesn't come from validation. You don't need anybody to tell you how good your meal was that you're about to bring to this cookout. You're taking that meal off, and now we're walking up to the most beautiful cookout picnic that you have ever seen. We're at a park. There's a barbecue there. There's games to play. The tables are set, and everybody's there waiting for your meal because they know it's the one ingredient that is missing in this beautiful day. And you're walking up, greeting everybody with love and smiles and appreciation and gratitude. There is only love in this circle. There is no hate, no fear, no need to worry if you belong because you understand innately that you are with this circle. Everybody starts to dig into their meals, and you even forget now which meal is yours because it doesn't matter, because you're all loving and appreciating in the same way, seeing the colors and the wonderful light that you have brought to this meal. Just sit with this smile, with this goodness, with this grace, and understand that every wish and prayer that I have just said in this wonderful little meditation is completely possible through the lens should you align with your most loving self in this day and go bring your meal to this day. Amen.
Amen. Wow. That got me emotional.
I feel it.
With that said, CJ, you are an absolute blessing, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time and the energy to be here with me and our audience today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Every time.